What's up guys, it's Louis here, hope you are doing great. In this video, I'm going to talk about whether Google is still a good investment or not. Just remember, this is my opinion and for entertainment purposes only, so always make sure you do your own research before investing your hard-earned money into any type of company. With that said, Google has been lacking behind all the other 6 magnificent stocks like Apple, Meta, Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Amazon, and its share price overall hasn't been performing too well. Some of the latest news we received is that Apple is in talks to include Google's AI in its latest iOS update, and pre-market Google shares was up quite significantly. This will be a very interesting thing to monitor to see whether this will actually play out or not. This can be a beneficial partnership for both Apple and Google, so I just wanted to mention that before we get started. So I wanted to show you the latest earning release of Google, and one thing that many people have been talking about is the slowdown in Google's advertising revenue, and I wanted to show you how Google actually generates money. They create revenue with Google search and other, YouTube ads, Google network, Google advertising, Google subscription platform and devices, and then that gives us Google's total services, and it also creates revenue with Google Cloud. When we go to Mega Charts, which is a platform I like to use to quickly consume the relevant information in an easy digestible way, if we click on the first tab, which shows us the revenue, gross profit and operating income, and we select the yearly tab, here we can see that it almost seems like Google's income has peaked, and this can be troublesome for a lot of investors. We can also see that revenue growth has gone down to single digits in the last year, which isn't necessarily a very good sign. When we look at Google's free cash flow, this is something that I love about the platform. If we click on the yearly tab, we can see that Google still generates $69.5 billion of free cash flow. Although it might seem that Google's income is not growing as much, it's still able to grow its free cash flow each and every year. And if we slide this tab to change the time frame, we can see just how much Google grew its free cash flow over the last couple of decades. This is exactly what I like to see. And if we jump to Google's balance sheet on its latest earning release, this is just something that makes me as an investor feel really comfortable to invest in Google, because we know it has one of the most rock solid balance sheets of the companies out there. If we look at the assets tab, we can look at its total cash and cash equivalents as well as marketable securities. We can see that in 2023 it had a total of $110 billion. If we scroll down and look at the total current liabilities, which is debt that needs to be paid within a time frame of a year, we can see it has a $81 billion total current liabilities. So if Google wanted to, it can use its cash and cash equivalents to pay off all of its total current liabilities if it wanted to, and still have $30 billion left. Of course, this won't be very smart, but knowing that Google has such a strong balance sheet is a really good feeling. One of the other things I like to focus on is its retained earnings. Google has retained earnings of $211 billion. Another thing that I want to show you, and why there's still a lot of room for Google to grow, is because of its Google Cloud segment. Here we can see in the latest quarter, Google Cloud generated $9.1 billion. This might not seem too impressive, but the exciting part is that Google Cloud is no longer losing money, and we can see in 2022 we made a loss with Google Cloud, whereas in 2023 it has turned profitable. So when I go back to mega charts and we click on the unique key performance indicators, we can look at how much Google has grown its Google Cloud revenue. And in my opinion, it's really impressive to see how this revenue has grown over the last couple of years. In the latest year, it generated $33 billion in Google Cloud revenue. So this is where the growth of Google will sit. And as the company increases its revenue, it will start to become more profitable, and at the end of the day it will contribute more income to the company itself. If we scroll down, we can also have a look at how Google's network has grown. Here it almost seems like it peaked and in the year 2022, so it will be interesting to monitor this going forward. If we scroll down, we can look at another interesting part of Google, which is its subscription platform and device revenues. Here we can also see how much Google has been growing this segment. This is interesting to see because I feel this will form part of Google's long-term growth, and it has a lot of tailwinds behind it. As we can see the amount of growth from Google subscriptions, platform and device revenue, this is a segment that can contribute to long-term growth for Google. Also, a thing we need to monitor is research and development expenses. As a company grows, they spend money on research and development. Like we can see, Google has increased their research and development, but it's still a small part to its overall revenue. A large part of Google's revenue is obviously YouTube ads, and we can see that in 2023 it generated $31.5 billion in YouTube ad revenue. That is a hell lot of ads, and this is still a large segment of Google, so it will be interesting to monitor the company using these charts to see how it will play out at the end of this year. If I go back to its earnings report, I wanted to show you how much easier it is to work through the details instead of figuring things out like I did on this statement of cash flow. So I like to invest in a company that can generate free cash flow. We can see that Google had net cash provided by operating activities of $101 billion. That's basically all the income it generated from its activities. And to get to free cash flow, we have to deduct purchase of property and equipment, which is $32 billion, which gives us a free cash flow position of $69.5 billion. But instead of doing this, I like to go to mega charts and click on its universal key performance indicators, scroll down to its operating expenses and click on free cash flow and click on the yearly tab, and boom, we can see it generated $69.5 billion of free cash flow. Just imagine a company that grew its free cash flow from $218 million to $69.5 billion in around 20 years. In my opinion, this is something that we will continue to see with Google. Although its main business might be slowing down, it's still generating pretty decent returns. And at the end of the day, a lot of companies has been struggling because of the higher interest rate environments. So make sure that you focus on the fundamentals of these companies and make sure you use platforms like mega charts to easily consume the necessary information to make your investment journey much easier. If you are interested to use mega charts, you can sign up with my link and get a massive 10% discount so that you can start analyzing companies in the right way. I'll share the link down in the description, so feel free to click on the link and to sign up.